is that, and there's also going to be, this is the conversation, and the conversation will also include questions about if we do not have elections, we won't have 1,600 board members, 800 whom may be brand new, that need to go through all the different training programs, and so that those training programs are going to be expensive as well for the city. So you're going to hear that conversation coming. You know, my personal instinct is that we've gotten this far doing this piece of work. If we do the elections, it gives us 2 years to put a new system in place. But is there a way to ask the question simply, or to, you know, of this group, as to where are right now, if you had to just a sense of the body, first people that raise their hand says we should go forward with the election process in the next week. Can we do that?
One step though, because you kind of need to know where people are in the process. My elections for my neighborhood council are 5 weeks away.
Right.
4 weeks away.
I know.
There are other people who haven't even started. Who haven't even
I know.
applied
I know
yet. So
that.
I think, but you need to know, where
Yeah.
that is. So how many people have are elections that are coming up in the next 2 months?
March, yeah.
All right, and then how many people are towards
In June.
in the summer?
May and June.
Okay.
May.
Yeah.
All right.
So how many people, just sense of the body, just my own sense, it's helpful to me in these upcoming conversations. Of course, you might be interested in sense of the body too, because I'm not 100% sure. How people who raise their hand first would say we should move forward with this election cycle. It's not related to whether or not we're going to go, city clerk's going to elect them in the future, but thinks we should go forward.
We've already been delayed by 2 years.
Okay, so saying we should go forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I think 19. How many people think we should cancel elections and go through a separate process and take the time, or if it takes a year or so to get it up and running? 1, 2, 3. So there is a diversity of opinion, but the majority, and you are in the, yeah.
I think the key is, though, what happens with the money. If it just gets swept into the general fund and but if we say it's done.
It gets swept. It gets swept.
Yeah, I mean,
But
what's
it
the
doesn't
point?
mean it's gone. It means it's helping solve our crisis, but
It really does
get
get
That's the point. There are uncontested elections out there. If you swept it, it wouldn't matter because it's default. John's is the only contested one in town. They're going cage wrestling.
Cage wrestling.
Oh, it's going to be.
It depends on how the council, how quickly the council wants to move on this, but there are some rough estimates that it could take.
Could we have just a little more discussion on the election part? Why is it you feel the need to do it now? For those who were.
I'll tell you right now.
Well, I think
I think it's called democracy.
neighborhood councils where people have been on the board for 4 years already, and because of the delay. It's as simple as that. I mean, my neighborhood council, if people leave, we can advertise and appoint. That's not a problem. But we're gonna have to sit down and convince people and say to them, hi, you're gonna be here for another 2 years. And so we're gonna be growing.
Why, but not necessarily 2 years.
But it's bigger than that.
But it's also, there's one other thing. It's also a certain fairness. There are people out there who are expecting there to be elections because they would like to run for the neighborhood council board. And if you take that away from them at this point, I mean, I don't care how, as far as I'm concerned, the clerks should go away right now and we could run our own bloody election. That wouldn't bother me. We're already having to do our own outreach and everything else. Okay? We don't need IDAs to run our elections. We didn't originally, we don't. Right? We could do it ourselves without a problem. But in all fairness to those people who have been expecting elections and we've been putting out the word, I think it would be proper to go forward.
Okay.
We're this far into the process for election and to pull out, I have to agree with them. And I can tell you, I'm Rusty Millar from Silver Lake. I can tell you from a bit over a year ago, our neighborhood council board had decided to push it back to this time frame. And we ran into a buzzsaw in the community of people opposed and not opposed, and it was really decisive. But as someone, and we don't need the city clerk's office to be helping us with this, and the fact that I can tell you that the locations that, in their good judgment that they picked, is gonna be in the north, it's in the northern third of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council area, so they're all gonna look like me, fair hair, blue eyes, and college education. And that's not what the mayor wants as far as representatives, participating in the neighborhood councils.
Okay.
Well, no, but not this part, Ken, because the city clerk screwed the whole thing up, and there's no way around it.
Yeah.
We, in the last 2 or 3 election cycles, our neighborhood council, and maybe others, established multiple locations so we could sweep in more people and do more outreach. And you see a steady rise, increase in the people that participate. Rather than having to listen to some council member from some certain district that says, well, neighborhood councils, they only got 200 people to vote, why should we listen to them? And they're not a credible force. And this is what's gonna happen. This whole process now is set up not only to, sweep Dunn out the door, but neighborhood councils at the same time.
I think you could ask the jury
Hold it.
question.
Jay?
It's a couple of things. First of all, in the neighborhood council that I represent, we're completely uncontested at this point. Every seat that's gonna be filled is gonna be filled by someone who's not running up against somebody. Having said that, not everybody who's running was on the board before, so there are new people. So the reality is, if you put off elections in general for this year, if you just say we're not gonna do elections, the whole process we've been trying to build, which is empowering people and getting them involved in the neighborhood councils, is gonna go right down the drain. Because it's hard enough for our constituents who bang on our doors on a daily basis, telling us how the city is so completely dysfunctional and unmanaged. Okay, and then to see that the little voice that they potentially could have is gonna be squashed at the very end for $1 million savings at max, $1.2 million at max, in the scope of, hundreds of millions of dollars, it really sends a wrong message to the average Angelino, and I think it's a mistake.
Scott, I'll be back.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think that, the city made the decision to go to the city clerk. What's going on financially, or the city council probably made the decision, what's going on?
The NCRC did, unfortunately.
Okay, well, whoever made the
Wait,
decision,
I voted against it.
whatever's happening now to cause this crisis was not unforeseen.
But council is the one that actually made the decision,
they
on the record.
They passed the order.
And I think, it just sort of smacks of something that would happen in a banana republic or the Hugo Chavez. And it will most likely be spun to be something about the fault of
Yeah, for
neighborhood
sure.
empowerment. They couldn't even handle their elections to get them done. Let's just, they've got the same people and we're probably, out of compliance in some way. I think the question, $1.2 million or whatever it's gonna cost, the reality is that money's probably gonna keep somebody in a job for like 4 more months, a few people that are gonna lose it anyways. So is that really money saved?
Okay, Dee.
Thank you. In my neighborhood council, the city clerk's office has generated a great deal of resentment over a site location with no parking. Now, that resentment, you see, is now directed against the city rather than against a site location made by the neighborhood council. I think that's a very important point to consider downtown.
I think I think it may be interesting to ask a third question now, which would be, who would be in favor of having the elections now, but taking them out of the city clerk and into the neighborhood council hands? Because in a lot of ways, Jim, with you, I think most of our seats, if not all of our seats, that everyone is running unopposed. To spend that kind of city money for what I call, junior high school elections.
But it might take longer to change the ordinance.
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice but to run them the way you're running them and be done with it.
Right now.
And
Yeah, Al,
it's not late.